Now, in an era where education has become the cornerstone of societal progress, Nigeria has taken a significant step toward empowering its youth by introducing a student loan bill. Now, this visionary legislation, which aims to bridge the financial gap between aspiring students and their dreams of acquiring higher education, has, however, attracted commendations as well as criticism. Now, with this bill, students who lack the means to pay their tuition upfront should now access the education that they deserve and repay their loans at a later time, more feasible time. However, it is also crucial to examine the challenges as well as the bottlenecks associated with disbursing these loans and its repayment plan as well. Also, in recent news, a medical doctor in Nigeria, Dr. Olufemi-Olaleye, the head of a top Nigerian cancer clinic, has been handed a life imprisonment sentence for the heinous crime of child molestation. This alarming incident serves as a stark reminder of the urgent need to address the issue of child abuse and to protect the innocence of our youth. So as we delve into these topics, it is essential to emphasize the significance of taking such punishments seriously, as they serve to deter potential offenders and protect future generations from the devastating consequences of child molestation. Welcome to Fafanua Africa. This is a show that focuses on issues that concern the youths across Africa especially. My name is Mosugu, and of course, I am your host on the show. So sit tight and let's take you through 1 hour of insightful conversations. Now, let's take a quick look at this story. Dr. Olufemi-Olaleye is reported to have sexually assaulted the girl for more than a year until his wife found out and informed the police, according to the prosecutor. Olaleye was arraigned in November last year on 2 counts of rape between December 2019 and July 2022, when the girl went to live with their family. Now, during the trial, the doctor's wife, Adiremi Olaleye, said that she discovered the abuse after the girl told her aunt and the family's driver. The girl, now 18, said the doctor had been sleeping with her and had issued death threats if she told anyone. Now, the doctor has been sentenced to life imprisonment, which is, according to some people, good enough punishment for the crime committed. You see, this is just one of too many cases like this, objectifying women, sexualizing women, young girls, and even young boys, especially, which eventually leads to sexual harassment and molestation. And for this reason, we will be having this conversation today. So joining us to discuss this, first of all, I have with me in the studio, Doreen Omosele, Executive Director, Blosoom Girls Outreach Foundation. Thank you, Doreen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You look amazing, by the way. I love the frame.
You too.
Thank you. All right, also joining us virtually, we have Barrister Omimi-Okoro Ufuoma, a child activist and the founder of the Purple Wand Shelter Initiative. Barrister Ufuoma, thank you so much for joining us. All right, Barrister Ufuoma, could you please unmute your device? I think it's muted.
Sorry?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. It's nice being here. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. All right, let's go straight to the conversation. I'm going to start with you, Doreen. What do you think about the case in general?
Wow. Okay, so I remember when I saw the news, I went, oh wow, this is good. Even though I'm a compassionate person, you know, but I felt no compassion towards this case. I was excited because this is like a justice for many girls that were not given the opportunity to speak out, you know, and I felt like this is really good, you know, but there's something else that we are not paying attention to when it comes to this case. We're all excited at justice has been served, but are we really concerned about the healing process for the victim?
Right.
This is so very key because, you know, when one gets abused, you know, they can end up becoming perpetrators if they are not healed. You know, we may even want to start to ask to find out, okay, Dr. Olaleye, right? Mm-hmm. Perhaps maybe he was abused when he was a child. and that sort of, caused a crack, in his, mind and his upbringing and all of that, because I read that where he said that he's addicted to sex. So when someone becomes a victim and they are not healed, we need to be careful, because this thing is like a vampire effect. When someone gets beaten by a vampire, the person gets, the person becomes a vampire.
I'm glad that you did bring that up, because I was going to ask how possible it is, first of all, about the psychological effect on the victims, because like you said, a lot of times it's easy to overlook how they're feeling. A lot of people believe, it's a little different, maybe not worse, of course, than someone's child being killed. That in that situation, the parents get justice, right? But in this situation, what has been done to that person. And you cannot undo it. But I still don't understand the concept of being abused and them becoming the abuser. Is there I don't know how that works. I mean, it should be something that you cannot stand, something that you detest, but then now becoming the abuser because you were abused is a concept that a lot of people still cannot wrap their minds around.
Yeah. So, okay, for the work that I do, I reach out to sex workers and prostitutes. I've realized that, even according to research, that most girls that were abused, they get into prostitution. So it's either you get into that side of the game or you become, an abuser. I don't know if you know about R. Kelly, the story of R. Kelly, how he abused girls and all that. He was actually abused too as a child. So there is this, crack in the soul that sort of opens you up, makes your appetite for sex really, goes on the extreme. And then if you cannot find satisfaction, you hunt for it. You go for it. I'm not even speaking. I'm speaking on behalf of many people that can't speak. And I'm also speaking from experience. It happened to me. I found myself in that place where, from the abused, I became, someone that was in that place of the abuse and also someone hunting for sex. So it's a crack in the soul. And if the abused person does not go for healing, does not, find, soul healing and go for a detox, she's going to get to that point.
Right. Okay, Dr. Ufuoma, coming to you now, I think my question will be, in what way would you say that the government and the people around can support these people that are abused? We just talked about the fact that a lot of times we're more focused on getting justice, the punishment meted on the people who perpetrate these acts. But we kind of neglect how these young people are feeling, especially those who are still in their formative stages, all those little children who still maybe don't understand what's happening or don't know the consequence of what that is going to have on them. A lot of children grow up, not understanding why they act the way they do, why they're either obsessed with sex or cannot stand the thought of sex. And they just can't link it to the fact that they were abused, growing up. I mean, they had that individual thoughts in their mind, but they don't think that it's connected. So how do you think that people can support them? How do you think they can get help generally?
Well, situations vary. There are various persons, different strokes, different folks. But there are major ways we can assist victims of sexual abuse. First, we want to listen. We want to believe these persons. Because most times, people don't believe them. So we want to listen. We want to believe them without judging. We want to be empathetic. We want to validate their experiences. We don't want to blame them. We want to offer emotional support. We want to provide a safe space, non-judgmental space, so that these persons get to come out, they get to express themselves. I'm sure if the niece of that lady did not find someone who could listen and believe in her without judging her, she probably, Dr. Laila, who knows, would have been raping so many others without anybody wanting to speak up. So we want to also respect and recognize the choices of the victims. We want to provide not just emotional support, we want to also encourage them to see a shrink or a psychologist, because those are the only people who can provide and encourage professional and give professional help to such persons, either the counselors or the therapists, the psychologists, the shrinks. then also we can actually provide practical support, because most of these persons, they are abused because maybe they are in a place where they can't help themselves. Maybe they are financially not capable of feeding themselves, taking care of themselves. So the abuser is telling them, I would not give you food, I would not pay your school fees if you don't have sex with me. So we want to create a safe community. We want to provide practical help. If it means paying for therapy sessions for the victims, or it means paying their fees, because of course automatically they report the abuser, there's no most times the caregiver is lost. So these are some of the ways we can actually provide practical help and support for victims of abuse or molestation, kids who have been molested.
All right, still talking about ways to prefer help, Dr. Ufuoma, in what ways do you think the legal system can better support these survivors? Because, I mean, I'm glad to say that as of now, at least in different countries, the identities of these survivors have now been withheld, unlike before where they're paraded along with the perpetrators. It's like it was a crime to have been abused. So now it's better because the identities are not revealed as much. But then again, having to re-identify the person who did that, having to re-explain what happened, especially in the minds of these young ones, it can be very tedious, very overwhelming, very intimidating. Like you said, a lot of times people don't even believe them. And then these days where you have a lot of fake news going around, you hear people saying that no, the girl is not saying the truth, she's young, but she can be lying, she might be delusional, her mind might be playing tricks on her, you know, all those harsh words on little children. They may not understand the impact, but they know they have an idea what's happening, and it can further affect them, you know, with the whole investigation and all. So in what way can we say that the legal system can better support survivors, protect them? Of course, yes, their identity has been protected, but beyond their identity, there's also the psychological effect, you know, the effect of having to always go to court, always hear what's happening, always identify them, point fingers and all that. How can we make it less tedious and less effective on the mind?
Okay, I would love to, in all sincerity, I would give our legal system some accolade, because we are not where we used to be like 5-10 years ago.
Yes.
Because before, there's so much work, there's so much things for a victim to prove that someone molested you. In fact, it's tenacious, it's painful, it's excruciating. Now, you just get your doctor's report. Fine, going to and fro the courts could be pretty exhausting. I would not lie, right? But before, you have to prove the sperm, you have to get the sperm from somewhere, and a whole bunch of merry-go-rounds, which the victims cannot even afford to take care of. But right now, the legal system makes it a little easy. We have laws which says even you don't even have to prove, as long as someone has penetrate, the person does not even need to penetrate anymore. Before, you have to penetrate. Now you don't have to penetrate, and you prove, the prosecutor proves your case, and you're good to go. But I think they can still do more. Why do I say they can still do more? Like Olade's case now, it has been ongoing since last year, November. Imagine if something happens to the victim, maybe she died. The case is already history and diplomatic studies. Fine, criminal cases do not have time lapses, but I think our legal system could make it a little faster, because now the laws are there. So when the expert witness from the hospitals, the forensics brings the report that shows that the child was defiled, the hymen or whatever it is was tampered with, there's no need going back and forth. I'm not saying that, no, of course the other person the abuser has the right to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt, but I don't think court cases should take so much time, because it takes a toll on the mental health of the person, of the victim. It takes money, because sometimes having to travel, imagine like Lagos now, the sexual offenders court is located in Ikeja. Imagine having to travel all the way. For instance, you live in the island, or you live in Ajegule or somewhere, and you have to travel all the way, or maybe Festac village or something, and you have to travel all the way to Ikeja to get justice. It's pretty exhausting. So if the legal system can make it a little faster and less tenacious for these victims to express themselves, that would be totally amazing. But right now they are doing great, but of course they could do better.
Right. Thank you for that, Dr. Barrister Ufuoma. Also, Maureen, now you have been in this position before now. What reasons would you say that there are for a lot of these young girls and even young boys who are being abused and molested? What reasons are there that they cannot come out to say, this is what happened, this is what this person did to me? A lot of them are not even threatened, right? But there's just that they just can't find themselves explaining that this is what happened. They know that this is wrong, but they cannot say it. Why is that?
Okay, you've already said that a lot of them are not threatened, but there is one key thing about an abuser. You know, they usually pull the threat plug on you. Like, if you tell anybody, I'll deal with you. Don't tell anybody. It's a constant line, you know. And I wasn't surprised when I read it too, that he said he was going to, you know, kill her or something, threaten her and all that. So I think one of the other reasons why, you know, people who are being abused don't come out is because of this fear of being disappointment. Like, they feel like their guardian will be disappointed at them. You know, they feel like their guardian will, you know, look down on them. You know, there's this thought of, I don't know how this person will take it. This person may even, you know, flip the switch and be like, how could you?
Yeah.
Like, are you a fool? You know, don't you have sense? Couldn't you? So this whole trade blame game, they just sort of, you know, I don't think I can stand this. So they just sort of, you know, flow with the whole thing. And that's basically why. And another thing is because they don't sort of have a good, loving relationship with their guardian, with their parents. Not many children, you know, have a good relationship with their parents. If you have a good relationship with your parents, someone tries to do something, you want to tell your parents. You want to tell your mom, mom, this person did this thing to me. Yeah. If there's some sort of good rapport with your mom or your dad, you can be free with them. So there is no free communication, you know, between parents and children. And I think that parents can do better. They can sort of try to become friends with their children. You know, instead of just playing the, oh, I'm your guardian, I'm your mom, I'm your dad game every time. Try to be their friend. You will hear a lot. Because these children are going through a lot. I'm telling you, they are going through a lot. If you can just have a time you sit down, the way you talk to your friends, talk to your child and be like, hello, how far, what's up, what's going on with you? Be free with me. I'm not going to, you know, shout on you or scold you or anything. Can you be open with me? Do you have boyfriends? Tell me, what are they doing to you? What are they doing with you? You know, so for me, I'm a mom now, and it's one of the things that I have told myself I'm going to do. I'm going to be friends with my children, like total friends, that we're going to talk about every single thing. Yeah. You know, I'm going to create that atmosphere and that room. So it's very important. So there is no communication. And they sort of, they're afraid that, oh, how my mom take this? You know, they can discipline me, they can shout on me. And I think that's basically the two things. Yes.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that's quite spot on. Just like you said, the two major hindrances, like creating a block between parents and children these days. There's the idea of this, I don't know, and I'm happy again that we're not where we used to be, just like Barrister Ufuoma said, because if it was then, it was worse than now, where parents will see you as, you know, you wear something as an innocent child. They're like, what are you two? Why did you wear this to his house? You two, why did you play around his house? You two, why did you do that? And you're like, is it my fault that that happened to me? And then there's also the fact that parents don't, I don't know if they shy away from educating children. We don't have sex education, especially in this part of the world, where you see a lot of children. Some children will even say, mommy, what is sex? And you're like, stop that. Where did you hear that? Don't ever say that again. And that is not the right way to, because if your children don't hear it from you, they'll hear it from somewhere else. Yeah. And before they hear it, probably, hopefully not, but something would have been done to them that they don't understand the concept. They don't think it's that serious. Yeah. But eventually they're finding out that, no, this thing this uncle did to me is not right. Yeah. But then you can't tell your parents because you've never had that conversation with them. You know, so yeah, I think that's another area that parents should look into, and not just parents, I mean guardians, neighbors, friends, everyone, even in schools, you know, that conversation should be had. Well, we're going to take a look at what the tweets are saying on Twitter to see what people have to say about the issue of molestation and this case in general. I don't know if we have the tweets. Can we have that up now? All right. Boy says, as a girl child, no amount of self-discipline and prayer can guarantee your safety. But I hope and wish you would see yourself as a priceless treasure and place the highest imaginable value on yourself. You're worth it. Let's also not forget that even boy children get molested and harassed as well. All right. Now, the same person says, the girl child is now a price for the unnecessary pressure that we jointly mounted on our generation. The get rich or die trying mentality was not only sold by the girl child, but the girl child is now the sacrificial lamb majority of the time. All right, the next one says, as children, we are completely vulnerable. Our parents are there to be our temporary protectors, our coaches, and to teach us how to protect ourselves from evil people. When parents take advantage of and abuse their own children, it's essentially murder. I think that's the word for it. Okay, that's all we have. You know, I've seen this tweet, Barrister Ufuoma, and of course, I've seen tweets and posts where you see parents teaching their children, if this uncle touches your pants, what do you say? And I read through the comment section and I see people saying, no, you shouldn't be teaching children this. You are exposing them to things that they shouldn't be knowing about in life. That's just so unnecessary. Do you think it is unnecessary?
It is not unnecessary. In fact, when you want to teach them, don't use things like when somebody touch your cocoa. Say it. When someone touches your breast,
yes,
this is your breast. You will mention the word. You know, you let them know this is your private part. You know, you mention the word. You tell them, don't use this is an apple. This one, no, it's not apple in the real world. It's not apple. No, it's real. Even my she's 3 now. She knows what breast is. You know, she knows. I'm like, this is your breast. She's like, yeah, this is your own. So we're having that conversation even from now. It's not too much because if you don't tell them, they'll find out from elsewhere. And you'll be so shocked to see what these children even know. They even know some things more than the husband and wife that are even having sex. They know a lot because they went outside to go get that information. But you can guide them. That was even what I want to talk about when I said, okay, let me just stop here. But I'm glad you brought it up. Sex education is very important. There is no time that is too early. As long as the child has the ability to, you know, understand you can start to teach them.
Exactly. All right, thank you. Very quickly, and just to add that, you should know that children are very curious.
Yeah.
So if they ask you and you don't answer, they'll get that answer, whether or not you decide to answer. Very quickly, Barrister Ufuoma, what do you have to say about that?
Okay, as far
you know, the issue of teaching children, is it too early to let them know, you know, if they touch them in certain ways, if they touch their private parts, they report?
My dear, no age is too early at all.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're losing your audio, Barrister Ufuoma.
If you teach them. So me, wherever I go, I see kids on the streets. When I go out for evangelism, even when I'm at work and I see some funny adults playing with kids in a certain way that doesn't sit well with my soul, I park. I tell the kids, no one should touch your bum bum, even if they are not old enough.
Yeah.
I tell them, what is this? They tell me, what is this? Your bum bum, right? No one should touch it. And if anyone touches it, tell your auntie at home and tell your uncle at home, tell your mommy or tell your daddy, because no one is going to kill them, because that's the first thing the abusers say. If you tell mommy, you tell daddy, you're going to die. And I'm going to kill them, I'm going to kill you. So no age is too early to give your kids sex education, to make them know that no one is entitled to hold their body, not for sweet, not for chewing gum, not for biscuits.
Right.
Do you get? So
all right. Okay, thank you very much. I really would have hoped that we would extend this conversation, but hopefully another time. Doreen Omosele, Executive Director, Blosoom Girls Outreach Foundation, thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to having you join us again to discuss the same topic another time. All right, Barrister Omimi-Okoro Ufuoma, child activist and founder of the Purple Wand Shelter Initiative. Thank you also for joining us. Thanks for being amazing guests on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. All right, you're still watching Fafanua Africa. When we come back, we'll take a look at another topic. But in the meantime, let's take a look at this quotes by people who have gone ahead of us. Please take a look.